What is up, everybody? Since you guys have been so good, I decided to bring back another throwback game console. You guys have been commenting things like my voice is nice, this and that, I'm good looking, and the least I can do is go out and buy a game console and review it. And the one we have today is actually the Nintendo Wii U. And again, like many other things, I actually never owned this one, and there's a lot of stuff that I didn't even know about this console that really still shocks me. And I don't want to hate on it too much because, I love Nintendo, but there's no going around the fact or beating around the bush that this thing wasn't really like a market success. They kind of cut the lifespan of it really short, bunch of other problems and issues, but this thing came out in 2012, so it's about 6 years old at this point, which isn't too old if you consider like other gaming consoles like the Nintendo DS, which came out many years ago, the PSP, all these other game consoles. But this one did come out 6 years ago, and this was the successor to the Nintendo Wii, which was actually a very good game console. I reviewed it on this channel. I made an updated review just like a couple months ago, how it held up in 2018, and obviously that one was very good. It was one of like the best selling game consoles ever, or something like that, and that was a very good game console. And for something like this to come out right after and to, I'm not going to say it was horrible. It was kind of a flop, I don't really, there's no other way to word it. It still sold. People still bought it, but it wasn't necessarily the experience that people wanted. And that's from what I hear. I didn't really interview these people, but from like forum posts and Reddit and stuff, that's what people are saying. And I think the reason that was probably because of marketing. They didn't really market this thing that heavily. They had commercials and stuff. I saw commercials, but from what I saw, and this is the weirdest thing ever, I thought the gamepad, the Wii U gamepad, was just the game console. Like I didn't know there was like a standard like Nintendo Wii, there's like the console that you plug into the wall on the TV and stuff. I didn't know that this console, the Nintendo Wii U, was actually that. I thought it was just the gamepad. So I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, that's so crazy. And I literally just found this out like 3-4 months ago. So the last like 5.5 years, I actually went through, I didn't even know that, which is so crazy. And it doesn't really affect me at all. I mean, I'm not like gonna change game consoles or something like that or hate Nintendo, but it's just so weird. And I don't think I'm the only one who thought that. So that's really weird. So kind of switching through and kind of looking at both these and talking about the body, the Nintendo Wii U is a little bit longer. The actual game console is longer than the Nintendo Wii. It's overall bigger too. It does have some heft to it, and you can actually see the fan behind it, which I kind of like. I kind of like that nice touch. It does have an HDMI in the back finally, and it has other ports as well, the AC adapter. You also have 2 USB ports, which is kind of nice. I'm sure it's for like attaching the Wii game controllers, or you can charge your phone through it or something. So that's kind of a nice touch. I think the Nintendo Wii, the original one, also had a USB port, but I don't really remember. And so that was the actual game console, which wasn't that crazy. It was kind of more of the same, really. But then we had the gamepad, which was super interesting nonetheless. It honestly, I totally see how the Nintendo Switch got it. It's like the design and everything, because it looks just like this thing almost, but not really. The Nintendo Switch is much better looking. And once I picked it up, I knew it wasn't the most premium thing ever, but this thing does not feel that good at all. Like it literally feels cheaper than like a Nintendo DS, which is super interesting. And once I picked it up, I mean, I wasn't expecting to pick up like the most premium thing ever, like an iPhone or something, but I was pretty shocked by how like creaky the overall body is, how cheap it feels. The buttons feel like they're wobbly. They don't necessarily feel like a good game console. And it feels like something you get like on eBay for like those Chinese like Android tablet knockoffs. This is almost what it looks like. And I know looks can be deceiving, like it doesn't have to be the best looking thing ever, but it's still kind of weird that Nintendo would go out and try to sell something like this. They weren't scamming anybody, it's making it seem like that, but they didn't. I mean, people knew what they were getting themselves into, but it just doesn't feel that premium to me. And some people might say, oh, this thing came out 6 years ago, this and that, it's old, this. But I mean, I personally think like the Nintendo DSi or DSi XL feels much more premium than this thing. And those devices are older than this, so if Nintendo could make a very good game console at that point, why can't they make another one to recopy that here? And it just feels super bulky, and looks can be deceiving, so just because it is bulky or doesn't look good or this or that doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't game well, or more things along those lines. And like I said, I definitely see how Nintendo got its cue and its like overall design for the Nintendo Switch from this thing. So I guess in a way, if this thing didn't come out, then we would have never had the Switch. But the concept and the overall idea of this was cool. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the Wii interface. I think it's super weird in my opinion. I think it was okay on the original Nintendo Wii because we got used to it. But then when they kept it here, it just seemed like they kind of got lazy with it a little bit. Not really too sure why they kept the same exact layout. They did switch it with the Switch, so that's good. But still kind of weird that they kept the overall like same thing. And the one thing with the Wii U, especially when I'm looking at it now, I just don't think I'm too familiar with the layout or something, but they put the settings everywhere around this thing. So like I went in to try to change the brightness right to up in it, and I went into the settings tab and I tried to look into it. Literally could not find a way to up in the brightness. So then I kind of kept going and tried to find more. And I even had to Google search it of how to update the brightness or how to up in the brightness or whatever. And I still couldn't find a way to do it, which was super weird. I'm like, dude, this thing's supposed to be like amazing or something like that. And they can't even put brightness in the settings page. Now, it seems kind of stupid now because I found out how to do it, but I literally spent like 20 minutes on doing it, and I wasted a lot of footage, video footage, with the brightness on lower because I couldn't figure out how to do it. Now, it's probably just me complaining, but dude, I have to say my experience. Now, the coolest thing about this would definitely be the game selection, but at the same time, there weren't really too many games out for it. But the games that were out for it were pretty decent. I mean, we had like New Super Mario Bros. Wii U, we had Super Mario 3D World, we had, that's really all I know. Like, I just follow Mario, that's it. And just the overall gameplay is very good. When you're playing on the TV, it seems like it's solid. I have a 1080p monitor, so I think it only plays up to 1080p or something like that. And as you can see, I'm playing Super Mario 3D World, and I do kind of understand why they went through this route, but I feel like, I don't know why, but I feel like Super Mario Galaxy was literally the greatest graphics I've ever seen on a Nintendo console. That game was super crazy, and I don't know if they're going to actually bring that to the Nintendo Switch, because that's a very good game, but the Nintendo Wii can play that game as well, since it is backwards compatible and can play Wii games. But yeah, when you're playing it through the console itself, like the actual TV console, it plays pretty good. You know, there's no skip frames or anything. Even when you're playing through the gamepad, it's not bad. But when you are playing through the gamepad, just keep in mind that this thing does not have the best screen ever. The screen on this thing is, you know, kind of pixelated, I would say. It reminds me a lot of the Nintendo 3DS XL because it was kind of like a blown up version of whatever was on the Nintendo 3DS. And it's not as bad as the DSi XL, but it's still really weird that this thing, you know, not only does it not necessarily look the best, but the screen isn't the best either. And sometimes it's backwards, you know, something like, and this is kind of off topic, but not really, the Google Pixel XL, even the Google Pixel, it doesn't look the best. It has a lot of bezel around it, everything, but the screen is very, very nice on the thing. And it could be the same thing here, I'm not too sure, but I just find it weird that they would do something like that. It's not a bad screen, it's not horrible, but it's definitely not as sharp as if you're looking at its monitor or something like that. And I know that sounds kind of dumb, but you guys have to remember that this was a Nintendo flagship. You know, Nintendo is a crazy large company. They brought the Nintendo 64, GameCube, all these other things, and they dropped something like this, and it just, I don't know if they felt rushed to do it because of the competition, but it just seemed kind of weird. But I mean, that's that. And another thing I'm not a huge fan of, including the gamepad, are the buttons. They just don't feel that premium. They feel kind of cheap. They have good clickiness to them, I guess, but like if you even tap it the wrong way, like it just like kind of wobbles a lot. Same thing with the A, B, X, Y buttons or something. The start and select buttons seem pretty solid, and the buttons on the bottom aren't that bad, but the A, B, X, Y, they're much worse than the actual arrow control keys. But I mean, how often are you going to use the arrow control keys, you know? Whatever the up, down, left, right, you're going to most likely be using the joysticks, but still, like A, B, X, Y, dude, it feels literally just like the Nintendo DS buttons, and they just took them from that and put on this. So I mean, it's kind of weird, but I think they meant good. Like they had good intentions with this thing. The annoying thing, and probably one of the more annoying things about this console, is that if you don't have the Wii U console, you cannot play any games off the Wii U gamepad. But if you have the Wii U console, you can play Wii U games. But the more annoying thing is, and the reason maybe why it didn't really pop off, was because this isn't like a portable console in a way. Like you can't go on a road trip with this and expect to play games unless you bring the actual Nintendo Wii U like console with you. And maybe that's a huge reason why nobody wanted to buy it or anything like that, because people might have expected like, oh, this is a huge console, I can be able to bring this with me and play in the car and stuff. But you can't, because this is almost like, I think they market it as like a home portable console. So if you're at home, you can take the game from like your couch to your bedroom or something without having to bring the whole console, which is kind of a nice touch, and it seems good in theory, but I think people wanted more, and it's just kind of annoying that that is the case, because like people wanted to be able to, you know, experience much better gameplay without having to go to a PSP or a Nintendo DS or 3DS or whatever, and they wanted something different, and I guess they were trying to offer it in a way, but at the same time, like I hate saying that it flopped, because it didn't flop, but at the same time it did. And the main reason I don't want to say that is because I like Nintendo and I like where they're at now, but still, it's still kind of weird that they were in a situation like this, that they could have marketed and done a full portable console, but they decided not to. And maybe that's why they took a huge hit on it, I'm not too sure. But like I said, the game selection for this thing kind of makes up for it, just because you have the Nintendo Wii library on this thing as well. But still, the Wii U games, the actual Wii U games, few and far between. The ones that came out were good, but this thing had a very short lifespan, which does kind of suck. but I still can't believe that I didn't know this thing had a full-on console along with it up until like even this year I thought it, which is so crazy. And it just seems strange that they didn't do the whole portable console thing, but really, what are you gonna do, you know? I'm not gonna go and email Nintendo about it, the console that came out 6 years ago. Unless you guys, if you guys want me to email them, let me know. I mean, I'll figure it out. But we have to remember that without this thing, if this thing did not come out, we probably wouldn't have had the Nintendo Switch, which is a very good console. So really, it's a hit and miss. And my overall thoughts of owning a Nintendo Wii U for the first time is, it's like almost just like a Wii, you know? If you're just using the Nintendo console, just the consoles, then they're okay. But if you're using the gamepad, then it does add a little bit to it, a little bit of experience. But still, you can't expect to go on a road trip with this thing or anything just because it's just like a home portable console. And if I had a Wii right now, I would probably not get a Nintendo Wii U, but the few games that did come out for the Nintendo Wii are very good, and Nintendo Wii U's aren't really that expensive anymore, but it's not getting any updates, so you're kind of stuck where you're at. But apparently all Wii U's are hackable, so you can go and root it and custom ROM it. No, I'm just kidding. You can actually go and flash some, I don't know, you can play emulators on this thing or something. I'm going to definitely check it out, and I really want to do it. If you guys want to see basically a more updated review, not like an updated review, but like my experience with it running emulators and different things like that and being hacked, definitely hit that like button so then I can kind of see who wants to see it and who doesn't. But yeah, my closing thoughts, it's not a bad console, but it didn't really shake the market. It didn't really bring anything crazy to the table like some of the competitors did, like Sony and Microsoft. And that's really where I want to end this video off. If you guys for some reason want to pick up a Nintendo Wii U or anything, check it out from the link in the description. It helps the channel out every time you buy something and allows me to do more videos like this and to get more consoles and more phones and all this stuff. So if you guys want to help out the channel, definitely get things through that link in the description. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed the video, but if you're new here, definitely hit that subscribe button. It'll mean so much. Really, every subscriber really does count because we're trying to grow this channel and I have goals to hit. And as soon as we hit those goals, then I'm just going to be happier. And when I'm happy, you guys are happy. So it's kind of like a win-win situation. Definitely follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Both those links are down in the description. It would mean so much if you guys could follow me. I'm really trying to gain the audience there too. So I'd love to see your guys' faces. Shoot me a DM on any of them, Twitter or Instagram. I'll probably not respond, but I'll at least look at it. So definitely check those out. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. And hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.